Hey guys, it's Bakutech, and today you might think, hey, shouldn't your uploads be more frequent since you're home all day? And I say, no, I'm still a lazy piece of shit. Here is me ranking every bakutech bakugan from my least favorite to favorite. Let's get started. Important to note, I also played the game, so how good the bakugan is or how fun it is to use will also be impacting my opinions on this list, not just the bakugan's appearance. One last thing before I start, please note that I like all of these bakugan to pretty high degree. Even the bottom on the list I still think is better than most bakugan that came before it and after it. And it's also my opinion, which means it doesn't matter. So don't get your panties in a twist if I don't say Daifujo is my favorite bakugan. Anyhow, let's actually get into it. Starting out on the very bottom of the list is Warcry. Warcry is just kind of a disappointing bakugan. He is Darkus, but Darkus is the largest attribute in bakutech. So he's got a lot of competition, and he has nothing going for him. It looks like he should have cross pieces right here, but these are not cross pieces. This is just plastic, and it also doesn't look like it fits properly, like it was supposed to have cross pieces there, but they changed it last second for some unknown reason. And his G power is alright, but considering that Darkus has Bruticus, there's still no reason to be running a 620G bakugan with no cross or soul, so it's completely useless competitively, and his appearance is it doesn't quite do it for me. These arms or wings or whatever are kind of weird, but I do like this mechanism in the back when it closes. That's pretty cool. Other than that, bottom tier. Next up on the list is Jaguar. He's a saber-toothed tiger, and for the positives, I really do like his cross pieces with the 3 claws. I think those are pretty cool. And that's about all I can really say for this thing. Third from the bottom is Nozichi. The only reason this thing is above the last two is because of its appearance. I really like the red and black color scheme. I think that looks pretty cool. And I really like this tail with the little spikes there and the spikes on the wings. But otherwise, its appearance is kind of lame too. If it'll focus, it kind of looks like a obese slug waiting to put out its misery. So yeah, and this thing is, I'd say, worse than Warcry. It does have a pretty strong spring in the tail to help with defense a little bit, but it's still a Darkus bakugan with 590 Gs, which isn't that great. Again, if it was in like a different attribute like Ventus, maybe I would like it more, since Ventus is severely undersupported. Next up on the list is Gus Fernand. This guy is also up here simply because of his appearance, and he was a little disappointing to me. I thought for the longest time before I got it that his feet were soul parts, but no, they're not. These are just manual parts, and this guy has nothing going for him. He's really bad. Again, he's tall, so he's super easy to KO. And like I said, no cross or soul. But he's a cool looking dragon. And I've always liked this red and white color scheme. I really like these horns. This guy looks really cool. He's just really bad. Next up on the list is Gavel Anaconda. Now, this guy is the first half-decent bakugan on this list. Let me get this out. For starters, he has built-in metal, which is almost always a plus. I think there's like one bakugan I can think of that has built-in metal that is worse because of it. But that's cool that it has built-in metal. And he has 2 cross pieces, so this guy can have quite a bit of heft to him. Just the problem is he's kind of ugly. This face sculpt, it's pretty detailed and it looks kind of cool, but I think it's kind of weird as well. And I do really like this body, how like his body extends out to make the tail, but still it looks kind of weird. Not a big fan of his design, but he's alright to use. I also don't like this orangish yellow color scheme that they use for the plastic. Not a fan of that either. Like I said, he's alright to use, so not completely worthless. Next on my list is Nika Laura, and he is quite tall. I need to readjust the camera. This guy is 100% here because of his appearance. This thing looks crazy, and I love it. It just sucks that this is probably the worst bakutech bakugan there is. Simply because he is so tall. I mean, it's super easy to knock him over. So, critical KOs are super easy on him. His G power is 590, which is kind of bad. And he's darkest, so he has 0 things going for him except his appearance. I love this thing. I really like his hands. They kind of look like they're holding gems or something. And I mean, look at this thing. He's got like a huge spiky neck. I don't know how you can't love this thing. He looks crazy. I love him a lot. He also has a really cool red and black color scheme. But kind of bad competitively. Next up on the list is Gravity Gnome. This guy's another tall one, and I do like his appearance quite a bit. He's like he almost looks like some dystopian war robot, which I like a lot. I really like how they use the cross pieces for like these shoulder guards. That looks really cool. And these cannons on his arms. So yeah, this guy, he looks pretty cool. And he has 2 soul and 2 cross. He is darkest. I do actually like the color scheme they use for him, which makes sense as darkest. He might have been able to get away with Subterra, which would make him support for a less supported attribute, but I'm fine with this one being darkest. He at least has a reason to. And his stats are pretty good. And since he has 2 cross and 2 soul, you might think that he might have some competitive use, but that's completely shattered by the Baku tumors surrounding the outside of him, making him pain to roll. So, yeah, not the biggest fan of using him, but his appearance is pretty cool. Up next is Anker. Anker is a very weird bakugan. I think that's the best way to describe it. He's another robot-esque guy. And he's also pretty tall, so he's also not that great. But he does have two cross pieces that are very undetailed, but I'll get to that in a second. I think Gravity Gnome looks cooler than this guy, but what I like about him is, let me fold him up real quick, is when he's closed, he's really smooth and has no detail on him. That's supposed to be his gimmick, but it does nothing. And, well, at first I was like, it's kind of, looked kind of bland. I don't like it that much, but it's grown on me. I really like this smooth design because it kind of looks like a pearl or something. It looks really cool like this, which is kind of funny because it's so minimalistic. And I do really like this blue color, but it's just really cool how he's able to hide like everything that's inside of him so easily and be this smooth bakugan. He's Aquos and his stats are 620. He's not the best bakugan. He's far from the worst. I think everything I've gone over before him has been worse than him. But he's still not my favorite. Ooh, the next guy is Hammer Cannon. For positives, I really like these cross pieces, like the 0-1 on them. I think those are some of my favorite cross pieces out of any bakugan. And he is also quite good, actually. This hammer doesn't do much, but he does, when he's closed, he does have like a groove in the middle, which makes him pretty much as the better Grand Dragon. G power is 590. So why do I not like this guy very much? I just don't think he looks that cool. His head looks kind of lame. I do kind of like how these arms work, but I'm not a big fan of them. And he does have built-in metal and 2 crossbars, which is great. Yeah, this guy's only up here because of how fun he is to use, but I'm just not a big fan of him, appearance-wise. Next on the list is Panzer. Now, I was really debating whether or not I liked Panzer or Grand Panzer better, and I think I put Panzer here as worse. I'm not a big fan of his color scheme. It actually looks a lot better on camera, which is something you don't hear a lot. But I do like the kind of militaristic guns and stuff on it. And he is definitely better than Grand Panzer. I'll get to that when I talk about Grand Panzer. So he does have his pros over it, but appearance-wise, he's kind of lacking. I do really like that head sculpt though. If you somehow manage to not guess it, next up is Grand Panzer. Now, what I like about this guy is purely his appearance. He looks really cool with all these guns and stuff on him. And he looks like he would be pretty good since he has 4 pieces of built-in metal and 2 cross pieces. And these cross pieces do have stickers on them, but I think these stickers are pretty cool. It kind of makes it look like it's like a ghost or something possessing like some military thing. I don't know. But yeah, I think he looks really cool, and I really like the grading on the cross pieces. The only problem with this thing is he's really bad. Since he's so heavy at the bottom, and there's nothing really supporting him up, he can just easily be knocked over for a critical KO. So yeah, he's really bad, but he looks really cool. Next up is Killer Volca. I don't have much to say about this guy. Too many manual parts. He has 7 of those, and his gimmick is really stupid. If both these fins are pushed in at the same time, his tail will drop down. Now that actually helps quite a bit with defense. The only problem is how the hell are you supposed to get both the fins pushed in at the same time? So if you only push one, nothing happens. The Killer Volca Kai actually is pretty cool since it has the Oculus attribute molded out of metal. But even considering that, I still don't think this guy is that great. Next up on the list is Agile. In all seriousness, this thing's just a better Hackapoid, but that's also its downfall because Hackapoid already existed when this thing came out, and he's really pretty much the same thing. He's not much of an improvement. All he has is a G-Power wheel, which doesn't really work. It just changes to the next spot in the wheel each time it opens. So yeah, I think the automatically closing gimmick is cool, but we already had something that did that. So the next bakugan on the list is Daifujo. This guy is brought down a lot by its appearance, because this thing is actually quite good. He has 2 modes, this one which is completely useless, and the other one which makes him quite a viable bakugan to occupy the card. The thing is, I just think he looks really ugly and stupid. I really hate these wings on the back. They're just molded in there. I feel like they're very easy to break, and they look really bad in my opinion. So yeah, he is a good bakugan, but I don't like his appearance. Next up on the list is Flame Idol. Not much I had to say for this guy. He's kind of alright in both categories of appearance and usability. I like all these wings and how they work, but yeah. Next up is Slug. Another bakugan I don't have much to say about. He has 3 cross pieces, which makes him very good, but what I don't like about him is his horns are supposed to like stand up kind of like that, but they can't. These are on a loose joint, and they look really dumb like that. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that appearance, but he is good. Next is Glide. He's a worse Grendragon, released after Grendragon. Next guy we got is Taurus. He looks pretty cool. He has 2 soul pieces. Let me get these out. And 1 cross piece. Let me adjust the camera as well, because this guy's tall. And I really do like his color scheme. He's a Chaos bakugan, but he has like white and black. I think it looks really cool. I really like his head sculpt. Only problem is he's bad because he's tall. So, yeah, he does look really cool in my opinion. And here we have Goon Icarus. This guy is a cooler Ingram, because he actually has a switch that allows him to change modes. So yeah, I think he looks really cool. I really like how he changed from like a bird to like a warrior or something. But there's a lot more Aqua bakugan that I think are more fun to use than this guy. Let's go. This guy is a all-around pretty solid bakugan. Is 2 cross 2 soul. He's pretty good for curve shots if you give him metal cross and metal soul. His G power right there is 620, and he's all in all a solid bakugan, so he gets a solid spot on the list. Next we have, come on, Leonys. This guy is pretty cool. I really like his look, his appearance. He's like this mechanical lion. But he's definitely outclassed by the several other defense types in bakutech. But I do think he has one of the best color schemes for a Chaos bakugan. I really like this blue with the white. It gives him a icy feel, and the gold accents give him kind of like this royal sense. So he's got like this cold and royal aura to him. I like him a lot. Next up on the list is, oh come on, Nominee Gun. I think this guy looks very cool. Get these out. And look at that, he is a long boy. When people talk about long boys, this guy's never brought up. He's always slept on. But yeah, he is quite long. I really like all the detail on this guy. Gonna focus. Yeah, look at that head. He's got dragons on his wings. Look at that part of the tail. He's got so much sculpted detail on him. And he's also pretty good since he's a long boy. There's definitely others that outclass him. So he's not the best, but I think he looks really cool. Very underrated bakugan, and that's why I put him all the way up here. Next we have Twin Dobro. I think this guy looks really cool. Double-sided bakugan are all... It's a really cool gimmick. Only problem is it's not a good gimmick to have. Reason for that being, it's kind of hard to control which side it opens on. This side is pretty good, and it has 620 Gs. However, on the other side, let me close them up so you can see what it's supposed to look like. But on this side, he's only got 200 Gs, and looks a lot less cool. However, Aqua's bakugan have a lot of low G power wing cards, so having 200 Gs isn't that bad. Only problem is you can't really control if it's going to have that pretty decent 600 or this really low 200 Gs. So this guy ends up not being that good, but he looks really cool, and I love double-sided gimmicks. Who's next, you ask? Oh, it's none other than Blanchel. This guy is like, I don't even know how to describe this thing. It's like a holy dragon looking thing. Let me get his manual parts out. There we go. His color scheme is very similar to Leonys, with the white, gold, and blue, but instead uses gold as the secondary instead of blue. And I think this guy looks really cool. He's like almost like a chaos, what's its name? Dio Civac. I don't know how I forgot Dio Civac, but yeah, this guy isn't great since he is tall, but I'm a sucker for dragons, and this guy is a pretty cool looking one. Next up, we have Jaguar. This guy, he's got something going for him. Let me get his manual parts out. Alright, so one thing I really like is his head sculpt. It's like he's got a bunch of battle scars on there. It looks really cool. And his gimmick is also really cool. If a bakugan hits this like crest in the middle, his arms close to grab them, and I think it's really cool to watch. However, this guy has a couple of problems. Let me close him up so I can show you. And boom, you see the problem? He is not very round. He's got these tumors on his back jutting out, and the crest sticks out quite a bit when he's closed, and that makes him really bad to roll. Not to mention that even though this guy is a defense type, he has nothing stopping him in the back, which means he can still easily be knocked over. So he isn't that good, but he has a really flashy gimmick, which I like, and he looks pretty cool. Next, we have Jinryu. Jinryu. This guy's got a weird name. Is our first limited edition bakugan on this list, and he looks really crazy. Not the best bakugan, since he's pretty easy to crit KO, but I mean, he's just got so much going on. His manual parts are kind of fussy. These get caught when you try to take them out, but I really like him still. His cross pieces are cool, and his design is a dragon, and like I said, I really like dragons. So, yeah, he gets a pretty high spot on the list. Up next is, well, Gallo. I don't think there's anything too special about this guy. His manual parts of these legs, which I'm not even going to bother. And I also don't think he looks that great. The only reason he's up here is because I really like the rubber cross. Next we have Bruticus. I feel like for a lot of people this guy can go either way. Be really hated or really liked, because this thing is really good. I know in my review of it I said it wasn't that good, but I was definitely stupid back then, because this thing is crazy. He has super strong springs in his tail and his neck, and there's a black version that comes with the tail made out of metal, but that actually makes it worse. So you get this version if you're going to get it. But yeah, what I don't like about it is, well, first of all, he's kind of ugly. He has this manual part in here, which is a pain to get out. I'm not going to bother. And when you take his soul parts out, you can't take them out fully and have them open fully at the same time. It's a design flaw, and I'm just kind of, I don't like it at all. He is really good, so give him a spot right around the middle of the list. Next up is a bakugan that's kind of in the same boat, and also the counterpart of Bruticus. It's Touchy Galton. This guy is, again, really good. He has Let me get his manual parts. There we go. He has a really strong spring in his neck, which makes him really good at upper attacks. And he has a cross part right there. However, I think he looks kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about my Bakugan having pecs. That's okay. He also has these giant fists, which I think look weird. And because of how his horn works, he has like this, when he's open, he has like this big tumor in his head. So, yeah, he is really good, but I think he looks kind of stupid. Next up on the list is the Windmill Bakugan. Windmill. This guy kind of falls into the same boat as the last two, wherein he's really good, but he's also pretty ugly. I really don't like these claw bits. Those are all flaily and kind of, yeah. And his head kind of makes him look like, I don't know, a Muppet? Kind of looks like a Muppet with that big nose. What makes this guy so good is that when he spins, he has blades that pop out. And these things can like really hook onto a Bakugan and make critical KOs pretty easy. But there's also a flaw to that, because these come out when you shoot him. You can't really shoot him normally or do a normal curve shot because it'll get caught in your fingers. But if you shoot, so you only can really shoot him like a specific way. So he is kind of hard to use, but he's also really good. Next is Kalukin. This guy, I am not very impressed with appearance-wise. Let me get his manual parts out. He's got a couple of those. There he is. I do really like these wings. I don't know how that's supposed to help, but it's kind of cool. So what's good about this guy is when he's closed, you can see his cross pieces kind of at an angle. So what that means is if you put metal cross pieces on this guy, he does really crazy curve shots and super fun to play with. So yeah, that's why I like him, but he's kind of ugly. There was a lot more of these than I expected, but here is St. Aquilus. This guy looks, in my opinion, really cool. He's like a Hydra dragon thing. Got more heads there. He has two modes, but I'm not gonna bother to show you because it's a pain to get him to change. You just know this one's the better one, and he has low G power no matter what at 380 and wherever the other one is, or 200, which means he works good with low G power wind cards, which is also nice because he's Aquos. But yeah, he's not the best thing out there, but he does look really cool, and he is pretty good. Coming in the next spot is Gizzard. This guy is quite a powerful Bakugan. Might have been the best Bakugan in the game at one point, because he's really good for attack and defense at the same time with this ring. And Gizzard Kai has a metal ring here, which makes him even better. I love these like fire details going all over him, and his cross pieces are like feathers. So this guy looks really cool too. Really cool and really good, and it's enough to get you high up on the list. Next up is Gizzard. This guy, he's like the poster boy for long boys, and he totally deserves that title because he is very long and very cool. I really like this bright yellow they use for it. It makes him stand out quite a bit in like a huge box of bakugan. And all in all, he looks pretty cool too. I really like this head mold and how it closes. He's got like pushes in there, and then like he's kind of yeah, there. His head like pushes in there, and he's like a door. He like pops out. He jump scares the opponent. Yeah, this guy's pretty cool. There are longer bakugan, and there are some of those that I like more, but I think this guy is really good and probably one of the best sub-tier bakugan in the game. Next up, we got one of the first Ventus bakugan. It's Falco, and I also really like this guy. He's one of my favorite Ventus bakugan. He's got this mechanical bird design. If that's a like bombs or something, I don't know. And he has like this kind of weird, I guess you can say, feather or scale effect going on all around it, like on its manual parts. Right there. And he's really cool. His gimmick is that he has a strong spring in his tail, and try to get it a better view of that. So when he opens, he jumps forward a little bit, which is really cool. I like it a lot. But since he was one of the first bakutech bakugan, he has become a little outdated compared to some of the newer ones, and a bit outclassed. So he doesn't hold up that well competitively, but he's still a very cool bakugan. I really like the Falco line. Next we have Hamburger. This guy is just like Kalukin, where he's closed. The cross pieces are at an angle, giving it crazy curve shots. But what puts him above Kalukin is that this thing also looks really cool. He is a scorpion. I don't know how you're gonna be able to tell that, but I really like how he looks like he has like samurai armor on him. Kind of wild. I love this thing a lot. It looks really cool, and he's really fun to use and pretty good. So yeah, he gets high up on this list. Our next guy is Jaguar Otis. This guy is probably one of the fan favorite bakugan. Let me get his manual parts out because they help a lot. And you may not look it, but this guy is massive. Oh my god, he is very intimidating. He's got a huge wingspan, and his wings stick up pretty far. He just looks so cool, and I think that's why a lot of people like him a lot. And I do too, because I mean, look at this thing. It's pretty crazy. My biggest critique of the design is that since he has a latch, or like a hook in his mouth, it looks super weird. Like part of his bottom jaw was cut off. But yeah, I mean, look at this thing. That's a minor critique at best of its design. He's got to be one of the coolest looking bakutech bakugan. I really like these purple eyes. He's not the best, but he's super intimidating. Looks super cool. And yeah, he gets high up on this list. Next up on our list is the Flare Dragon. Let me get his parts out. Yeah, this guy's a solid dragon looking bakugan, and He was one of the first bakutech bakugan, so he's a little outclassed competitively, but he is still alright, and he does look really cool. One of the things I really don't like about his design, though, is how reliant these cross parts are on having these stickers, because this flame dragon looking thing is a huge part of the Dragon line's design, in my opinion. So to not have the stickers on these cross parts is kind of a big deal, and I think a lot of people probably don't want to put stickers on their bakugan because that's kind of stupid. But all in all, he does look really cool, and I like him. Next up is Destroy Bruticus. Let me get these things out. There we go. Alright. This guy is the counterpart to Flare Dragon, and I think they're both really cool in their own way. I really like how this guy's got like his arms up here with his wings. It looks super weird and super unique, but also super cool. Again, pretty outdated in terms of competitive use, but he still looks really cool, and he's still an alright bakugan. So yeah, he gets a good spot. Next up on the list is Cooler Destroy Bruticus. This guy's got like a personal ornament hook here, and all in all, I just think this thing looks is just the cooler looking Destroy Bruticus. His arms were moved down, which I'm not a big fan of, but I do like how they kind of like spiral out when sticking behind and when sticking in front. It's kind of weird, but it looks really cool, especially since this guy, you're supposed to curve shot. And again, I do love this red and black color scheme. So yeah, not much to say about this guy. Pretty much the same as Destroy Bruticus competitively. Maybe a little better, but yeah, he's really cool looking, so I put him up here. Our next guy on the list is Shield Leonys. This guy is very reminiscent of Keelan Leonys, except a huge improvement. He has 3 cross pieces, which pretty much automatically makes him good. Cross pieces are better than soul. I don't think I ever mentioned that. So that's why 3 cross pieces are so good. I kind of wish he kept the old color scheme with blue as the secondary color, but he still looks really cool. And I really like how that mouth look works. Oh my god, he's pretty cool. Competitively, there's a ton of defense bakugan in bakutech, so he's up against some tough competition, and he doesn't really come out on top, but he's better than Keelan Leonys, and he's still pretty good, and he's really cool and fun to play with out of his mouth. Yeah, he gets to go all the way up here. Next on the list is our first bind system bakugan, being Lash Out Falco. Now I think this guy looks really cool. I really love the sculpt for the bird head there. It looks just like a bird, and I think it looks really cool. The manual parts add a lot to the design, even though they're not that complicated and there's not that many of them. I also really like the color they use, the color of green. On camera it looks kind of more turquoise, but in real life it's a lot darker green, and it looks really cool. I really like the color scheme on this thing, and in terms of Ventus background, this is probably one of the best there is. The Ventus attribute is the smallest in bakutech where literally half of it is the Falco line, and this guy is probably the best out of the Falco line. No, I guess Ventus has Sex Cavanaugh and Bogart, because that came out in Ventus in that one deck. But yeah, this guy's still pretty good if you want to run Ventus, like pure Ventus. And even if you don't, he's still quite a good bakugan. But he was a little disappointing to me when he came out, because the other two bakugan in the Falco line both have really cool gimmicks, and this guy has nothing. I wish he had something, like some really cool and flashy gimmick, but he doesn't. But he still looks pretty cool, and he still is pretty good. I put him up here. Next up, we have another bind bakugan. This is Jaguar. I don't think this guy looks as cool as the Shadow Falco, but he pushes ahead by a little bit because he is a bit better. He's got a bit more weight on him, and his gimmick is that he has the weights are all adjustable, so you can move them up and down, and it's supposed to change how he rolls. Doesn't really do much of anything. Like, what it does is very minuscule and barely noticeable, so yeah, it doesn't matter too much. But he's got a bit more weight and a bit more attack power, so I put him ahead of Last Shadow Falco, but I really feel that they're pretty interchangeable on my list. Next up is another long boy. It's Bone Skulls, and yeah, I like this thing quite a bit. His gimmick is that on his body is like a hinge, so he's supposed to be able to spin around. Truth is, he's got way too much friction and doesn't do anything. But he still ends up being pretty good, since he is quite a big guy, and he covers quite a bit of the front of the card. So yeah, I also really like his design. These striped arms, they kind of make me think of like the puppet from Five Nights at Freddy's. Take with that as you will. I really like these hook hand, and the cards that support this thing. I don't think I've brought up cards for any other background, but this thing is some of the most fun cards in the game. This thing is like a troll background. There's a gate card that makes it so the lowest G power wins, but if your background is Bone Skulls, it makes its G power 0, which is just so fun. So yeah, he's a lot of fun to use. He's also pretty good for defense, and he looks really cool too. Next up is Tornado. Design-wise, he's alright. I don't think he's the coolest looking background, but I mean, he does look pretty cool. His gimmick is that it's kind of similar to Bone Skulls, where he has a hinge in the middle, but this one is spring-loaded, and it actually works a little bit. It still doesn't work all that much, but it kind of works. So I guess this one you can say for Bone Skulls. He does look like a Darkest background, but he is Subterra, and Subterra is pretty small. So if you want to run just Subterras, this guy's pretty good. It's a pretty good option, but yeah, I don't think he's the best background. I don't think he's the coolest background, but he is pretty good, and he is pretty cool. The next background we're gonna look at this list is Dio. Come on. There we go. Dio Sivak. Oh, and this is the gold version. Okay. Let me get his manual parts out. Alright, so this guy is pretty good and pretty cool. He's got this huge chunk of metal in him, 2 cross pieces and some built-in metal, so he's got quite a bit of heft to him. I really like his design. It's like a demon-looking thing, and even though at first I thought that these like blue bits, they feel really weird and out of place. I think it adds a lot to him. It makes him look like he's like corrupted or something. I think it looks really cool. And he is really good because of this thing. However, he's not the most fun bakugan to use because he has a lot of complicated rules around him. Because this thing kind of counts as a bakugan, but also doesn't. So whenever I'm trying to play with like a friend, and one of us is using Dire Civic, we're like, wait, what's supposed to happen again when Dio or Civic does so and so? There's a lot of complicated rules around him, but he is still really cool looking. Next up on our list is the second double-sided bakugan for bakutech. It is Nika Laura, and this guy is completely terrible competitive use, and he looks pretty ugly. So why did I put him this high? Well, even though he's completely terrible, he is super fun to use. The reason why he's so terrible is because he's double-sided and one side jumps. So he is completely unpredictable, very hard to strategize around, and again he's Ventus, which might be one of the worst attributes. But what makes him so fun is if I grab something like Bogart here, this thing has crazy attack power. I just opened it next to Bogart and got a crit KO. So every once in a while you get like these crazy crit KOs. This guy has probably the highest attack power out of any bakugan in the game, and that just makes him a lot of fun to use. But he is completely terrible. If you wanna, I guess, since Ventus is so small, he's probably one of the better options you have for Ventus, but I would probably just run the Ventus Gogaru instead. But yeah, he's a lot of fun to use. Our next guy on the list is Falco. This is the last bakugan I have for the Falco line, and he's really cool. But he has one issue I can kind of get over. Look at that tumor. Oh my god, what is that? Now, there's a version of him that comes in red that doesn't have that, so I can't fault him too much, but it is still super annoying that it's there at all. This guy's still really cool. He has 3 modes, and this is probably the best mode there is for him. And I think, well, in his first mode he has probably one of the lowest potential G powers at 180. So yeah, it's not very impressive, but in his other modes he gets 600. So yeah, he's really cool, a little outclassed, but all in all I still like him. Next up we have over Leonys. This is the final Leonys bakugan on the list, and he is a very solid defense bakugan. I really like this like horn that's like hidden in this plate of metal. And yeah, he looks really cool. I love all this, whatever's going on in his back. These like scales and the spike. I think he looks really cool. When his mouth closes that close. It's kind of weird, but cool. One thing I think is kind of weird about him, let me close him, but it's not too big of a deal, is he's kind of oval shaped. He's not all that round, but just kind of weird because he's a bind bakugan, so you can use his halves with other bakugan. So you'd expect it to be round, but it's kind of not. But it doesn't impact it too much. I might have said this is the best Chaos Bakugan in bakutech, except Jibafudo was released in Chaos, so yeah, he's still a really good Chaos Bakugan though. Next up on the list is we have another contender for the potentially the best Chaos Bakugan in the game, only beaten out by Jibafudo, is Nagadaja. This guy is a very long boy. Look at that guy. He's also quite chunky. I really like his design, like these little details around it. And yeah, he's not the most complicated Bakugan, but he is really good because of how long he is. And he takes up quite a good amount of the card. There's a little bit in the front that's open. But, yeah, he's still really good. He looks really cool. I think there's a couple of occupancy Bakugans that are better than this guy, but he's definitely one of the best long boys in the game. So yeah, I think he's pretty good. Our next Bakugan is Ozpress, and yeah, he is an even better long boy. Let me get feet out. There he is. He takes up a lot more of the card at the front. This rubber band doesn't really do anything. It's too thin to really block attacks and too low to the ground. Bakugan will just roll over it, but he still blocks quite a bit of the card. He's not as long as Nagadaja, but I think he makes up for it because of how much reach he has at the front. And he has really high G power at 710. I think he can go even higher than that still. I also really like how he's got this half and half scheme, like half silver and half gold. So yeah, I think he looks really cool. But I think there's other Bakugan that look even cooler and that they're even better. So he gets really high on the list, but he doesn't quite reach the top. Next up is another Bakugan with a rubber band. We have Airy Beyond, and I like this guy quite a bit. Unlike Ozpress, this rubber band actually does a little something. Since it's a bit higher up, Bakugan will just roll over it. Can, but they usually don't, and he kind of closes in on them when they push into it. So it actually does something. It's not the most effective defensive tool, but it is a defensive tool. I think this guy is probably worse than Ozpress, but I think he makes up for that in his appearance. He's like a mechanical dragon. I'd say he's closer to a dragon, even though he's supposed to be a spider. Yeah, I think he looks like he kind of looks like a dragon, but he's supposed to be a spider. This thing looks nothing like a spider, though. Yeah, I think he looks really cool, and he's probably one of the best Ozpress Bakugan in the game. Yeah, I think he is the best defensive Octopus bakugan in the game. So he has that going for him. Yeah, just cool bakugan all around. Alright, we're getting really close to the top now. And next on the list is Yoden Schiffer. This guy is probably the best long boy in the game. Arguably, I think there's an argument going for this guy that he could be the best back in the game. I don't think so, but he is really good. He has a mode change gimmick, which he has 4 modes. Like, here's another mode. Most of them don't matter. You're basically always going to go for this mode. But it's still cool that it has it, and it's a super weird system. Like, when this moves, this is how you change the modes. But it's like a switch, and then the switch hits another switch, and it changes how it locks. So I think it's a really cool design, how that works. And yeah, I think he looks really cool. And he's really good, so yeah, he gets to reach way up, very close to the top. One of my favorites. Next bakugan on the list is Cavanaugh. I like both the Cavanaughs, but I like this one a bit less. He does have this really cool mouth that opens. I really like these like spiraling arms, and the cross parts and the soul both look really cool. He is quite heavy, and that gives him quite a bit of power, quite a good bakugan. But I don't know. I think there's bakugan that look cooler, and there's definitely bakugan that are better than this. So he doesn't quite reach the top. Unsurprisingly, this one is near the top. It is the bakugan that is in my profile picture. It is Cavanaugh, and this guy is a very, very special bakugan. 6 convert parts, 2 cross, 4 soul, and he is so cool looking. I love this horn. I love this horn. This guy, he used to be like a status symbol. If you had this thing, then you were a real collector. Now they've been popping up all over the internet, so they're not that big of a deal to have. But he's still a very special bakugan, and he still looks very cool. I really love this design. I also love how all the cross and souls, they're all supposed to be different attributes. If I remember this right, this one's Chaos, this is Chaos, Darkest, Pyrus, Subterra, Aquus, and Ventus. So yeah, very cool. I think this is a very cool bakugan. If you can get your hands on it, then you should do so. But he is quite pricey, even though he has been showing up quite a bit, and his price has dropped a lot since I got my first one. Next up is the heaviest legal bakugan in the game. It is Sanzu Hollow Boss. One thing I don't like about this thing right off the bat is he has 9 manual parts, but they do add a lot to the design. And this is the only 36mm bakugan that has cross and soul. He has 3 cross and 2 soul, which almost puts him on par with the Tabnos. But he also has metal horns, so in total he has the most amount of metal parts out of any bakugan. And he's really good. Like I said, he's one of the heaviest. No, he is the heaviest legal bakugan. There are things like Dekas that are heavier than it, but you can't actually use those, and you can actually use this. So, yeah, he packs quite a punch. One of the best attack types in the game, and he looks really cool. I love when they have like the Japanese letters on them, and this one's actually molded in, not just painted on. So yeah, he is really cool. I also like how each cross and soul piece, they'll have different designs on them, which I think are supposed to be like for each of Team Dragon's bakugan from the manga. So there was like one of them supposed to be Dragon, Bruticus, Falco, Leonys, and Jinryu, I think that's what they're all supposed to be of. So yeah, very cool. I love this guy a lot. Alright, now we're reaching the tops. These are my most favorite bakugan, and starting off, we got, oh come on, you could open all the way, Hollow Bruticus. I honestly wasn't all that impressed with this design when I first got it. That's grown on me a lot. I really like the head sculpt. I love the details on the cross part. Looks like spiral. All those like spirals on it. Really cool. These wings I'm not the biggest fan of, but they do add quite a bit to the design. He's a bit outdated as a bakugan, but he still looks pretty cool. Still, yeah, and he is still pretty good. Like I said, he's outdated, but still up there. Right above Hollow Bruticus is its counterpart, Rise Dragon. I don't think this guy needs much of an explanation. A lot of people really like this thing. This is a lot of people's favorite bakutech bakugan, and I can definitely see why. I love this thing's design. It has no manual parts despite being so complicated. And he's just a lot of fun to play with. He's really good too. This horn looks so cool. I love how these arms work. And he has the dragon design. There's just a lot going on here, and it's all good. So yeah, he gets right up here near the top. Next guy on the list is Gogaru. This guy is a very good attack bakugan. Probably the second highest attack power, right behind Daisho. But this guy is much more consistent. He has a strong spring in his neck, and he's the heaviest bind bakugan. So he is quite strong, and he looks really cool. He kind of has like the Dragon, like it's his own kind of there, fighting the circles in his attribute. Really cool. No, this probably is the best Aquos bakugan in all of bakutech, and he looks so cool. I love this guy a lot. Very cool. One of my favorites. Right above Gogaru is Made Last Boss. Is this guy better than Gogaru? No. This guy is not quite one of the, what I would call, best bakugan in the game, but I really love to use this guy, and he looks absolutely, like, really awesome. I'm out of words. I've said everything more than I know in this video. But yeah, he has the most modes out of any bakugan, being 8, but none of them are very impactful. But he is a lot of fun to use due to like being able to change his mode and have the weight shift. It makes him roll very weird. He's a lot of fun. I like him a lot, and he just looks so cool. I love how like he's half red, half black. Yeah, he's also got high G power. So yeah, this guy's definitely one of my favorites. I just wish he was just a little better. Alright, we're in the top 4 now, and my 4th favorite bakugan is Jibafudo. This guy is absolutely insane. Appearance-wise, he's pretty cool, but I think there are some that look a lot cooler. But this thing is completely insane if you're playing the game. His gimmick is that he has 2 magnets. So this guy has completely insane defense power, the best out of in the entire game. And he is the best of Terra bakugan. I don't think there's any debate about that. So yeah, he's really cool, really good. That's what brings him all the way up here. I use this in a lot of decks because he's just a crazy defense type. My 3rd favorite bakugan is Zeta Bruticus. Now, in my opinion, I say this is the best bakugan in the game. I think it needs a little bit of an explanation for that. Basically, up until this point, G-Power and bakutech barely mattered. Everything was so close in G-Power. But then they released this. Now, bakutech had a G-Power gap, so you could bring in bakugan from like America with like the ridiculous G-Power, but you couldn't use them unless they were unless they were at that below that threshold. And this guy was like right at the edge of the threshold. His maximum base G power is 730, which is already higher than every other bakutech bakugan. But the Zeta part on the back has a G power wheel. Now, sometimes it doesn't give that much of a boost, but considering this guy already has the highest G power in the game, and it's boosted at a potential of 200, so this thing could have a maximum G power of 930 without any boost. This thing was completely insane. There was nothing that was able to compete with it. It made G power battles actually like a viable strategy in bakutech. I almost feel like Armors was a nerf to this thing, just because they're all like G power oriented. This thing was completely crazy when it first came out. I think if you're not playing with Armors, this is the best bakugan in the game. If you are playing with Armors, it's still one of the best, but I think it's knocked down a peg or two. But he's still one of the best bakugan in the game. He looks really cool too. I love like this second red tail coming out, and I love these like weird hands. I don't know what's up with those, but they look really cool. I'm not taking the feet out because I've had it wear down really. I've had those go loose really quickly on another set of Bruticus, but yeah, he's a very cool bakugan and very good, like really good. Yeah, he gets all the way up into my 3rd. Now my number 2 spot, the bakugan isn't that great. It's pretty good, but the reason it's here is because this is my very first bakutech bakugan, and it got me back into collecting bakugan. And I think this thing looks so cool. It's Dragon. Let me get his manual parts out. You can see he's quite beat up, but this was my first bakutech bakugan, so to be expected. He looks quite similar to Flare Dragon, but he doesn't need the stickers for that dragon head, which looks really cool. There's like a poll to see what fans thought was the best looking bakutech bakugan, like an official poll, and this guy won, and I can see why, because he looks awesome. I love this guy so much. I think he has the coolest cross parts out of any bakugan. I love the dragon head, and you can put that on anything pretty much. So yeah, not the best bakugan, but he looks super cool. He has a special place in my heart and on this list. Yeah, very close to the top. Well, if you haven't done the math yet, my favorite bakutech bakugan is Dragon. I was around right before this thing got released, so when we first saw this in like an ad for the Bakugan anime, I thought it was so cool. I was so hyped for this thing, and I can say that I still think it's my favorite bakutech bakugan, and it's also really good. Again, debate for the best bakugan in the game. I say this is the second best. What makes this thing so good is it's an attack type, first of all, but it doesn't quite have as much power as Gogaru. But what makes up for that is the fact that you can switch it to a really good defense type as well. So the thing is with like balanced bakugan, if you're trying to have both defense and attack, it usually like makes them mediocre in both. But what this does is it has a mode that switches it from a really good defense type to or a really good attack type. And if it was just either one of the mode 1, this mode, or mode 4, where it has the wings down and the head down, both of those would have been really good bakugan on their own. But the fact that it's both of those makes this one of the best bakugan in competitive. And I just think it looks really cool. I like how when you push his head in, his eyes show up in the helmet. That's cool. So yeah, I love this thing a lot. He's my #1 favorite bakugan. And yeah, finally got through all of these. This video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Because there isn't that many bakutech bakugan, but there's still a lot of them. Anyhow, that's it for this video, and hopefully I can make some more before too much longer.